the committee, and we have, we're going to talk about state fair. So I know he appeared already before the, if not, he will before the budget committee, but thought, well, it would be good to have, you know, kind of our own update from the agriculture committee on what is going on there. And just the agenda next week should be pretty packed. So just so you're aware, we will start out Monday, and with we're going to have some updates of things that I believe are important, plus start working some bills. And probably Monday we'll be looking at water indirectly from the sky or from some bills. So some that Chairman Minix let us, so he can do the heavy lift. We're going to do some of those. Should be fairly succinct. I'll talk about the Healthy Food Initiative, as well as kind of a primer on some carbon capture and carbon sequestration from the Kansas Geological Survey. And then Wednesday will be a briefing on the foreign ownership of land. I'm still working on a bill that probably will drop Friday. We're still working on some language, and then we will do a briefing on that from Dr. McCohen from Washburn, and a little update maybe on what's going on with waters of the U.S. It's in the Supreme Court. There's a Supreme Court ruling that could have an effect, just from an attorney standpoint, kind of what that's all about. And then then Thursday there'll be one, if not three, bill hearings. There's still a couple more. I'm trying to get things worked on, and so we'll try to be as brief as possible. And then so then we won't meet on Friday. What we would do then is we would, if we don't, we'll try to work some of those as well for some final action. If not, those will be here on Thursday. We'll do final action on Monday. The goal is to not meet on that Tuesday, because then Wednesday of that week will be on the floor all day. So to give just a little bit of, just want to kind of give you that, plant those seeds anyway, and to give you time. So, okay, anything else? I didn't even mean to say that. I guess that was an agriculture reference, wasn't it? But been talking ag most of the day. So, so with that, it is pleased to bring forward the executive director of the Kansas State Fair, and hopefully you've all had a chance to meet him. If not, you will today if you didn't go to the fair. So, Brian Schultz, the floor is yours to give us your update and what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I do have copies of my presentation. If anyone would like one, we can pass those out. Let me just start one on each side here. Thank you. Pass these out here. All right. All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Brian Schultz. I'm the general manager at the Kansas State Fair. A little bit of background on me. I have been with the State Fair for about 19 months. Prior to that, I was with the Red River Valley Fair in West Fargo, North Dakota, and also lived in Las Cruces for a year in between with COVID. Very happy to be here as part of the Kansas State Fair. And I want to give you a little bit of background about the State Fair. And each one of the slides obviously will be numbered, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. So give you just a little bit of a background. We are Celebrate All Things Kansas. Let's see if I can get this to, that doesn't want to go forward. Oh, there we go. Okay. We started as the Kansas State Fair in 1913, so we'll be celebrating our 110th anniversary this year. Our whole focus is celebrating all things Kansas. We want to showcase from food to entertainment to just the general population of Kansas here at the Kansas State Fair. Each year, we bring in, on average, between 325 and 350,000 people to the Kansas State Fair for 10 days of fun. So how are we governed, first off? We are made up of a 13-member board. We have members from the Kansas Chamber of Commerce, the Fairs and Festivals Association, Travel and Tourism, and then our Extension District has 5 different areas. We have our Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Beam, is on there, Extension designees, Secretary of Commerce, and we have 2 members at large. Today with me, John Bottenberg, one of our members at large, and Holly Lofton, she represents the travel industry as well. All of these positions are appointed by the governor and serve at 3-year terms. So where does our money come from? We are a fee-funded organization, and our money comes from a multitude of different areas, including non-fair events. Each year, we do about 600 events other than just the Kansas State Fair. We had a meeting on Tuesday, and our non-fair facility rental coordinator told me we have another cattle show this weekend. We have a quinceañera. I think we have 7 events going on in the grounds starting on Friday. We also have a company that has rented 2 of our main buildings, MacDon Industries. They're coming in and they're using the facility for 2 weeks straight. So we have a multitude of different things that happen at the Kansas State Fair, from weddings, quinceañeras to, you name it. And quinceañera is a 15-year-old birthday party for a Hispanic child. Yes. And then our commercial vendors, corporate sponsors, food sales, RV park. Our RV park is used year-round, and during fair time, it is very difficult to even get a parking spot there for the fair time. Gate admissions, concert tickets, and then our midway sales. So I'm going to give you kind of a review of what happened this last year at the Kansas State Fair. So our gate admission, you can kind of see from 2019, we went from 278,000 people to this year at 315,000 people. We're seeing from COVID that we're continuing to grow. Weather was a little tough the last weekend. First weekend, we had that Sunday that was about 75 degrees and the grounds were packed. The last Sunday, it was in the hundreds, and we had tons of medical calls of people with heat exhaustion and things like that. So gate revenues, as you can see here, in 2019, we are at 1.3 million. 2021, 1.1, which is a 15% decrease. And then here in 2022, we were at 2.7, which is a 58% increase over 21. Our grandstand entertainment recap, you can see here, when it says show paid, what that means is if it costs us $600,000 to bring in our acts, we're at 151% of that is what we made on the grandstand for our entertainment. So this last year, we are at $895,000. Our revenue on the carnival side continues to grow every year. As you can see here, $1.87 million is what the carnival brought in this year. This is the best year they've ever had, and it continues to grow every year. We work with North American Midway. They come all the way across from the Florida side to do our fair. Then they sneak down to Tyler, Texas right after they're done, and then go back over to the East Coast. So if you remember Senate Bill 2, that gave us the opportunity on the Kansas State Fairgrounds to go around the grounds other than staying within the designated beer garden areas. And you can see from that our gross did increase quite a bit. In 2019, we had 327,000, 2021, 384, and this last year we were at 679,000, almost $680,000 in revenue from alcohol sales. I did a lot of walking around the grounds, asking people what their thoughts were, if they liked it, and overwhelmingly, everyone was very happy with it. Their reasoning was, I don't have to sit in one of our designated beer gardens and drink. I can't enjoy the fair. I could go to the bar and do that if I wanted to do it. Here it gives me an opportunity to walk around and enjoy my family at the same exact time. One of the things we did talk about with this was the incident level of the rate with the highway patrol. It actually dropped from the previous year. we didn't have issues of people over drinking and then causing issues. So the Highway Patrol was very happy with everything that happened there. And again, this is just beer and wine sales. In Senate Bill 2, it did give us the opportunity to open it up into spirits as well. That is something that the board will discuss at future board meetings to see if and when that would actually happen. So let's talk about some of the upgrades that we're doing on the Kansas State Fair. So if you remember also from last session, the fair was given $14.45 million for upgrades. That broke down to putting air conditioning in 2 of our buildings, the Oz Gallery and Centennial Hall, our Expo Center renovation project number 2, asphalt renovations, public address systems, and the Bison Arena renovations. The one that really, like I said, I've been here for about 19 months, and when I joined the fair, I walked around and I said, okay, so where's our PA system? Oh, we don't have a PA system. Why would we need a PA system? Well, we're the state fair, and we're also in Tornado Alley. How do we tell people if there's an issue, from weather to a shooting or something else that's going on the grounds, or just saying welcome to the Kansas State Fair? So with this $1 million that we received, we're able to put in a wonderful system, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So in the Oz Gallery, you can see that this building is where a lot of our domestic arts and ceramics and things like that. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are in here. It gets to be almost 90 degrees in there during fair time. And our volunteers are getting up into their 80s and 90s, and they're just saying we can't do it any longer. So with this monies that we received, we were able to put air conditioning in there. The bid came in at $241,000, so it's under the bid that we had. They are supposed to be starting that in the next month or so. They ordered all the product, and we're hoping to have everything done by the 4th of August. That's when their contract was supposed to be up. The other one is our 4-H Centennial Hall. Here again, gets to be 80, 90 degrees outside, and that's about the temperature inside. Again, this is 4-H, so it's a lot of young kids, but it's also our volunteers are aging in that 80-year-old again. We want to make sure that they're comfortable when they're in there. The bid here again came in under what we had estimated and will be done by that August timeframe. That building in particular houses storage right now, so we won't be able to start on that until May 1st. Expo Center renovations. Expo Center is our largest equine center. In 2022, March, we finalized our first renovation phase of that. That included a new roof, sidewalls, columns, ventilation, updating the electrical service, new lighting. This was a KDFA finance project of $1.3 million. We just started renovation phase number 2. That is going to do a lot of the dirt work in the building and the arena itself. That's coming in about $150,000. As you can see, the fence that goes around the facility, that only is a part of the way and doesn't keep the dirt in. So, and it also, we have some issues when we go in there and work the footings of the ground. And this will keep all the dirt inside and give our horse people better footing when they are doing their training. You can also see on the far slide, there is some dirt in there. We're putting that into concrete to keep down the amount of dust that's in there. We're also working on the restrooms. That was one of the biggest complaints that we got in this facility, and we're looking at about $225,000 in there. We're taking an epoxy coating, running it from the ceiling all the way down to the floor, so there will be no seams, and it'll be easy to wash and the upkeep will be a lot easier. You can kind of see, this is what the bathrooms look like right now. To be honest, they're pretty disgusting. So we're going to be very happy once that all gets cleaned up. The other thing is replacing some of the overhead doors. You can see they're kind of had better days. So if you look at the budget, we had $450,000 to date. We have spent $323,000. We haven't included any of the overhead doors and a couple other things. We've also updated all of the hot water heaters, the offices in that building, and kind of just did a full spruce up of it. We're looking at bringing in more major horse shows. The Tabiano Horse Association has been in touch with us, and they're actually talking about moving their whole headquarters to Hutchison starting next year. They're renting some space downtown Hutchison and want to bring in their big Tabiano horse show. If you know anything about horses, these are 6- and 7-figure horses that will be coming into the grounds to show. They're expecting about 1,500 stalls is what we're going to need for some of their big shows. So that is one of the reasons we need to take care of this building and the economic impact that that will have on it. Yes, ma'am.
Where are you going to do 1,500 stalls?
We're going to have to bring in the vast majority of them. We've only got like 211 of them, so we're going to have to bring in portable stalls and create them within other buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Asphalt upgrades, that was the other thing that was we haven't done for many years. We've taken like 125,000 every year in the budget, and we've done maybe a block. Well, as you can see, it's going to cost about $2.5 million to do the whole grounds, and here are some areas that the second picture in that has the yellow around it, that actually happened right during fair time with the heat, all the spalling, the base went out of it. We had to go get some concrete and pack it in there as tight as we could, but those are major tripping hazards, and when you have 300,000+ people in the grounds, we don't want people to get hurt. So they will be starting on the asphalt upgrades. We're thinking 1st of April. We just got an update the other day. It could be May 1st, but we're hoping to have the whole grounds re-asphalted. Oh, my clicker went away again. Okay, so on the initial bid, it came in at $1,025,000, but that didn't include any base work. So what that included was basically doing a full mill and overlay of all the grounds. But once you get to some of those areas, like I showed you prior, where the spalling is happening, we're going to have to dig out very large sections of that, fix the base, repack it in, and then put an overlay of anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of asphalt on there. So we're estimating about at minimum another $1 million is what's going to have to go on that. So we'll be close to the 2.5 by the time we get done. Our public address system, like I said, was something that really surprised me. We put this out for bid, and we did get a Kansas-based company to do the work, Hop Sound out of McPherson. One of their representatives actually just left SeaWorld, and he was in charge of the public address system. So he told us about a system called ks. It is the same thing that they use at SeaWorld, where we're putting sound systems in every building. We're also putting out horns throughout the grounds. So we can actually, if we've got an event in one of our buildings, we can hit a button, we can only talk to that building, or we can hit another button and we can hit the whole grounds and tell them that there might be an issue or just a welcome or whatever it is. So that bid we had estimated on the front side was going to be about $1,092,000. When we did get the actual bid back, it was $1,014,000. We did one more upgrade, so we're about $1,020,000 right now. The Bison Arena, little history on that. 1937 is when it was built for about $103,000. It was our 4-H livestock pavilion used during World War II for the Navy as a training site. And in 2019, our interim manager got a call from the fire marshal and said, close the doors. It's not ADA compliant. Your doors are not up to code. You can't use it anymore other than storage. So since that time, we have been talking about what we can do to repurpose that facility. And the goal is to repurpose it into an agricultural innovation center. And what I mean by that is it's an opportunity for us to showcase Kansas agriculture by bringing in temporary displays, talking with the commodity groups coming in and talking about corn and sorghum and all different aspects. And also our goal is to bring kids in from all over the state for them to learn. You know, there's a lot of kids that don't even know where their food comes from. When I was up in North Dakota, we had our Ag Education Center. And as part of that, we had a little area on the back that we grew a lot of vegetables and things. And one of my volunteers, Farmer Bob, took the kids out to the plot and reached down and he grabbed some carrots up. And he started talking to these kids about these are carrots and the nutritional facts about it. Did his whole spiel. And as he was walking away, a mom walked up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, I don't appreciate you lying to these kids. Shame on you." And Farmer Bob grew up in the ag industry. He knows all about it. And he goes, ma'am, I'm not sure what you're talking. Shame on you for lying to these kids. You know as well as I do that was not a carrot. A carrot does not have a green top. They're about this big and they come in a little bag from Walmart. So do we have some teaching to do? Absolutely. We know that we're anywhere from 4 to 6 generations removed from the family farm. There's people that don't even know what a combine looks like or what its use is. So our goal here at the Ag Innovation Center is to teach that as well as other aspects of agriculture here in Kansas. You can kind of see what the inside of the building looks like. Beautiful barreled roof. The windows, I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful building. Some of the ideas of what we'd like to do is possibly build some greenhouses on the north side, some areas where we could grow some crops, show how they're grown, and then inside kind of having it a free-flowing area. We could also use it as a multi-use facility. If we have one of our major implement dealers wants to do a showpiece of a new combine or a tractor, we'll have a door big enough for them to bring it in, and we can showcase that, have large events. We're looking at doing a commercial kitchen, so we can work with the community if they wanted to come in and maybe do some jams and jellies. But our other goal is to showcase, again, Kansas agriculture by doing a fundraising night where we bring in somebody like a Reed Drummond or a Bobby Flay, and they take all of our agricultural products and they walk through every step of a meal. And then also working with our wines and beers across Kansas as a pairing, and turn it into a fundraising night and also learning about this. We've been working with Dillon's and possibility of a sponsorship on that kitchen. When you go to Dillon's or any of the grocery stores, you're always lifting up and going, oh yeah, these strawberries are a little injured, we're not going to do that, so you go to the next one. They've got a program where they actually teach people how to use those, and that's another goal that we have for this kitchen, is to kind of showcase what you can do with damaged fruit and things like that. So the whole theme behind the Kansas State Fair is to create traditions. And that is one of my goals while I'm at the fair, is I stop people randomly and say, hey, how are you doing? Do you like the fair? What brings you back? And what I hear just about every time is it's all about traditions. I met my wife here. I kissed my first girl on the double Ferris wheel. We showed cattle together, whatever it was. Those are building traditions. They want to bring their kids back, their grandkids, their great-grandkids back to share from corn to a pronto pup to ice cream, whatever it is. Go down the big yellow slide and build a tradition with this new family part. I invite you to come to the Kansas State Fair, September 8th through the 17th. We always have our legislative luncheon the first Saturday. We hope that you'll come and be part of it. And at this time, I would be open for questions.
Brian, thank you so much. Exciting. And who's got the first question? If not, we're going to start with how many pronto pups have you ate in one setting? Representative Minix.
Brian, thank you for your presentation. You're not aware, but I want to bring attention to the chairman also. In 2021, and every year, you guys sponsor a legislative showmanship contest. The chairman and I are sitting on either side of the 2021 champion. She's a celebrity.
Yeah, absolutely. I delivered her award to her.
Okay,
Yep,
you're
yep.
aware. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
The chairman thinks the whole contest is rigged, but that's a whole other story. But one year we showed goats, and I hope that's the only year we ever show goats in that. But other questions? I would hope it's
I'm thinking it's going to be the beef cattle again. I'm thinking, and that might change. That's just like with the Cargill has been a sponsor of our Special Olympics showmanship. That started out a couple years ago, very small. This last year, it grew into something even bigger. These individuals through the Special Olympics absolutely adore coming in there and being able to care for this animal, even if it's only for an hour or so. But it just warms your heart seeing how happy they are. And Cargill has stepped up to bring it into showing even more species next year. So we're very elated at that.
And if you don't want to show it, I believe you could take them as a celebrity grape stomper, correct?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. We've got opportunities for celebrity grape stomping. I mean, there's endless opportunities on the fair where we can get you involved. Or if you'd like to judge a contest, we're always open to bringing in celebrities.
All right. Representative Syward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry I was late. It was with some constituents again. But I want to thank you, Brian. I think we've met, and you remember me, I hope.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good. Yeah, I was going to say I'd feel bad. It's a premier event for the central state of Kansas, and I think you guys do a great job, and you just always continually do. I've been going to the fair since the 70s every year, working there, being in booths and stuff like that. But no, you did a good job, and it's welcome again, and proud to be from our town. So, not very much we get recognition from our town, but there's a song Our Town.
That's
part of
absolutely.
the
Thank
state
you.
fair.
Thank you very much.
All right. Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Brian, it's, like I said, kind of like what Joe said, it's kind of refreshing. It seems like the state fair rested on its laurels for a long time, and it's kind of refreshing to see some forward-looking things going on, and I think it's going to help everybody, help the whole state, and Reno County especially, but the whole state. Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Representative Roth.
Talked about fundraising. If you knew a representative that was a really good auctioneer, he could really raise you a lot of money.
Okay.
So auctioneers, and especially fundraisers where alcohol's involved, the money really flows.
After one or two beverages?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Is that you, I assume? Okay.
Duly noted.
All right. But how many do you have to have before you become a good? I'm just kidding. Representative Mosier.
Just gets better and better.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Brian, for your great presentation. I've been, I went to the state fair for many, many years as a little girl, and the last few years I've been able to go back, and it's been fun to see the changes. And what's the status on the one corner open area? It looks like a rotunda. Paula Landall-Smith showed it to me a couple years ago, and it's in dire need of repair. What's the status on that?
Mr. Chairman, I believe you're talking about the House of Capper? Okay, yeah, I can, absolutely. The House of Capper, for those of you who aren't sure, Arthur Capper, obviously senator and former governor, built a facility just to the east of the administration building. And in 2019, 2020, we had an engineer come in and they said, you can't use it anymore, the roof is shot. So in 2021, we took the roof off. We started a major campaign with our foundation. And we have now, as of today, they have the roof on, they have the lights working. It was scheduled to be about a $800,000 project. It actually went into more of a $1.1 million project, so we're in the midst of fundraising there. But what we're going to be doing with that is another part of what Mr. Capper did was he and Mr. Volstead started the Capper-Volstead Act, which is our co-ops. And that was a huge part of Kansas, and it was also our opportunity to tell that story. So on the north side of the Capper, of the House of Capper, we're going to tell the story of how co-ops started, and there's going to be a walk path that you can stop in, and there's some 6 foot high by 4 foot high, or 4 foot wide areas where it'll tell the story of co-ops and how they became important in the United States. We're expecting that to be finished here in the next couple months, and then we'll do a major ribbon cutting and everything during fair to showcase that piece as well.
Thank you very much. And also, I might just add that I was proud to support the alcohol on the fairgrounds last year in Fedden State, and I was happy to hear that report that incidents were down and, families can continue to enjoy the fair. And I think that was a good move. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Representative Younger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So money, we all like it, and we all like to spend it, right, Brian? So
Absolutely.
the legislature approved $14,450,000 last year, right? And then some of this came in under budget?
Correct.
So what's the plan for the remaining? I'm sure there's some other projects that,
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, our goal is to take that money and continue with upgrades that we have on the grounds. With some of the, we're hoping that our asphalt comes in lower than what we were expecting. I had applied for 2 Spark grants, or 3 of them actually. We received one of them. One of them is cameras. We have 16 cameras on our grounds, and they are so archaic that if you were to walk in the front gate, we couldn't even tell you who you were. And we are an open fairgrounds. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we have a lot of incidents that happen on the grounds. This last weekend during a big cattle show, we had a lot of vandalism, probably $3,000–4,000 worth of vandalism. They spray painted obscene things in some of our barns. So I was hoping we would get some money to replace our camera systems. We had looked at going from 16 cameras to 60 cameras throughout the grounds. These would be AI cameras, artificial intelligent cameras, so we could upload photos of known bad people. So when they come on the grounds, I would get a text, the chief of police would get a text, and the commander of the highway patrol would get a text to saying, you've got somebody potentially bad coming on your grounds, and here's where they're going. The other option that we had with that is we're starting this new program called a security selfie. We want people to come in that are bringing their kids, their grandkids, their great-grandkids to take a picture, and that way, if for some reason you get separated, we know exactly what your child looks like. We can upload that into these cameras, and it will go out with our 60 cameras in the grounds, and they can say, Junior's over at the big yellow slide. We're able to go over there and find him. The other thing it will do is license plate readers. We'll know, because we're open 24 hours a day, we'll know who's coming and going. We have a lot of people that use our Midway area as a racetrack and spin cookies and do lots of damage. So we were hoping to get that taken care of. If we do have some additional monies, we'd love to put it towards that. The other thing that we need is upgraded lighting. A lot of ours is metal halogen lighting, and when we turn on some of those big lights, our electricity bill goes through the ceiling. If we could go to LED lights, that package was about $375,000. We think that would cut our utility bill. We went, we did 2 buildings, Sun North and Sun South, just recently, and in 1 month, we went from 50 kilowatt hours for that building down to 22 by just replacing LED lights in 2 of the main facilities. So if you can imagine all the lights on the grounds. The other thing that with the lighting is we've got a lot of dark spots that we want to light because a lot of people walk out there. I just don't want to see during off-season, somebody's walking, something happens to them, if it's a mugging or something worse. That's why we want to make sure we can upgrade the lighting so people feel a little bit more safe, and also with the cameras.
And then the air conditioning, I can appreciate that. I mean, I get it. But how did you budget for that? Those are 2 big buildings, so, you know, how do you budget for that air conditioning?
Well, they will be mainly used during the 10 days of the fair, and then when we have other events on there, we'll be putting it on at that time. Otherwise, it will be turned off, and we've adjusted our electrical use accordingly for that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Other questions? I have a couple. Do you have a breakdown of attendance? Like, I know we're trying to draw people from all over, but by counties, did you have a chance to look at that? As far as if you, I know probably not all of them you can, but I would guess you have a pretty good idea of where the, you know,
Mr. Chairman, the vast majority of the people that come to the Kansas State Fair are within 100 to 150 mile radius. We do try getting up into the Kansas City area, out into the west, and then going down into Oklahoma, but the vast majority are within 100 to 150 mile radius of the fair.
Okay. Well, you did have Gabriel Iglesias when he was the hottest thing. Was that either right before or right after he sold out Dodger Stadium? I know.
Mr. Chairman, it was right afterwards. Yeah. Yep, he sold it out twice.
Yeah, like the next spot, so. Joe Syward. I'm sorry, Representative Syward.
That's okay, I've been called a lot worse. Yeah. Brian, what of the full year, you know, you always send us updates on what's going on for the months and everything like, what's your best attraction? And I know years ago when we had the fair budget, a lot of you weren't here, but the fair is the only budgeted business in the state that actually made more money than the budget, and then we'd pay it back, and we gave that sales tax revenue that you collect back. But what is the biggest attraction that you have during the year? Is it an event at the fair, like a concert, or is there another event that might draw more people in, like the Campers Association or something?
Mr. Chairman, it's a broad spectrum. You know, right after fair, we go into RV rallies. We go back to back to back RV rallies. So that is a big part of it. It's just the facility rental throughout the year. Like I said, with the weddings, quinceañeras, to gun shows, to dog shows, whatever it is, livestock shows, there isn't one that overwhelms the other. Livestock's probably our biggest side because they're longer times that they're on the grounds. But it's made up of a lot of different areas. And we're looking at wanting to bring in more big concerts throughout the year. Our goal in the next year is to do a master plan to upgrade the grandstand. And the board has decided this last year to have racing cease as of the end of 2023. So we're able to make a different area where we can have dirt track and then also concerts. And it's set up where we won't have to bring in a stage. That costs us about $200,000 to $150,000 a year to bring in a stage, sound and lights. We'd like to build our own stage so they can just come in, hang the lights and the sound. And you know, a few years ago, I think we had Luke Bryan that came through. We had a concert over in the C lot. We want to be able to do that on every year, having 2 or 3 bigger names that would come in and bring in even more revenue.
That's good. And one more, if I can. There's a lot of controversy and questions I get from constituents about the new fire station on 23rd. The rumor was that they're going to close that entrance and walk in. Is that true, or is that just a rumor?
Rumor. They're actually investing, it's a huge amount of dollars that they're going to put. I think it's 10 to 12 inches of concrete, because that's where the trucks will come in, and then they'll come in through the back. But that will be a brand new walk-in gate, plus it'll be a drive gate as well.
And the other question, if I may, is what are you going to do with the old fire station?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we had thought about, and this was one of the grants that I received with Spark, was to convert that into an incident command center. However, when we did a little more research while that grant was being run through, that building really isn't conducive because it is not ADA compliant. We'd have to do a lot of work. We figured it would be able to be done. The thought is maybe we're just going to have to tear it down and put it back into parking or another facility down the road.
Representative Minix.
Okay, I'm going to broach something nobody's talked about. I'm a foodie. I get a kick out of the different foods that are available there at the state fair. Can you give us a brief overview of how you handle food service? Do you rent space, or how does this work?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So what we do is we have a lot of permanent locations on the grounds that have one-year contracts, and they have first right of refusal. We work with each one of those individuals. They present us with a menu, and if it gets to the point where we have, 10 Pronto Pup sales in this corner, we say, no, we can't do that. We also will put in there stipulations. We want people to try new things. For a foodie, we want you to come in and say, hey, I've never tried that before. In 2021, we actually had the Food Network there for filming 2 of Carnival Eats programs. That's the first time they've ever done that, and that went out. So that's our goal, is we work with our concessionaires throughout the year saying, come up with some new ideas. Don't come back and rest on your laurels, because people want to try something new. Fairs across the country have competitions where you can deep fried butter, deep fried Kool-Aid. I don't know how far we'll go with that, but I mean, those are options. But I mean, it's just, we want to make sure when you're coming on the grounds, you're going to have a new experience. I know the governor for sure, when she comes to visit on Governor's Day, she always has to have her stuffed cucumber, which has either got tuna salad or some kind of salad in it. I'd never heard of it before. Just like a Pronto Pup, I've never heard of that. We call them corn dogs, and I personally have gotten chewed out more than once for calling it the wrong thing.
That's
so
right.
They are Pronto Pups. But that's how we figure it. And on a revenue side, we bring in just shy of $1 million with vendors for food and our other vendors that are on the grounds. Thank you. Absolutely.
Representative Seibert.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. It brings up a question as previous representative. There was rumor or deal with Star Bonds issues a few years ago that they were going to try to move the fair up on the interstate where the big casino is and the big racetrack. I'm not sure what that's called. Is that still possibly in the woodwork? Because I heard they're trying to build Chief Stadium there now too.
Mr. Chairman, that is rumors that I've heard as well, moving it up to the American Royal area. That really hasn't got a whole lot of legs to it yet, the site. I've talked to several of you, and we are hoping that doesn't happen, because I can honestly say that if that would ever happen, there might be a little trouble getting people from the west on our livestock to come up to that area. Attendance would probably go through the roof, but we would probably lose what the whole tradition of the fair is with livestock and things like that. So it's all rumor at this point in time that I've heard.
We won't stop. You know, there's a place in the community outside of Phillipsburg called Agra, maybe, you know. We have plenty of parking.
Absolutely.
So, I got another question here, and it's kind of been broached a little bit. But talk about this, you know, it is the Kansas State Fair, but as some of us were here when we were going through some of this process, talk about the investment or how it works with Hutchinson, Reno County. You know, it is the state fair, but sometimes there's certain people have certain, what's the right word to use, that it is beyond Reno County, but talk about the support that the county and the city give the fair.
Mr. Chairman, very easy. We don't. Previously, it was my understanding there was a small stipend given to the fair. I believe that was when conversation started 3 or 4 years ago. I think what Representative had spoke about of moving it. There was a little influx of dollars, but it doesn't happen any longer. We just got a new city manager in Hutchinson. I've reached out to him. We've talked a little bit about it. We've also expanded the commission from 3 to 5 on the county side. I'm planning on going and talk to them. And just when you start looking at the economic impact that the Kansas State Fair has on that community, I believe it was probably 5 years ago there was a study done. On average, it's about $71 million that comes into that community from the fair and all the things that we do there. And you look at the sales tax for September, I was watching that, and that was through the roof. That was the biggest they've ever seen. So the conversation needs to start, and that's my goal yet this year.
Okay. Well, I just think that should be part of the conversation. You know, it is because of the economic impact that maybe some support or maybe some of these other things to move forward. But again, those are my counties. It's not my decision. I don't want the state legislature to determine what counties and cities do. But Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city, I know, has some kind of a rainwater tax thing. How does that impact the fair?
Mr. Chairman, are you talking to stormwater?
Stormwater,
yes.
yeah.
Well,
rain, storm, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We wish we'd get rain. Currently, we pay about between $52,000 and $55,000 a year for stormwater runoff. We are working right now with the city of Hutchinson. There was an MOU presented to the board, and it has been approved. We're just waiting for the attorney for the city to come back, where they would give us a 50% discount on that amount, which would take us down to roughly $26,000 a year. But in exchange, we're going to give them a fairly large set of land to build a retention pond just to the east of the grounds. And that 50% is not a locked-in rate. It's just a one-time lock-in. So if they do increase, we could potentially go back up to where we're at. And that's one of the things that I'm working on with the city and the attorney. What I've been told is there's no way they can do that. It's federal laws that they would have to jump through hoops to be able to do it. So It's something we need to take care of because if we get a deluge of rain during fair time, I have heard that the Midway completely floods. The other thing that when we talked about the fire station, we also worked with them because that is a huge facility on the grounds. All the water that will be coming off of that has now been tunneled through the grounds over to Lake Talbot. We worked with the EPA to make sure that all that water is retained on grounds and in that lake. This last year, we had to actually put in 2.4 million gallons of water in there to retain the fish and actually be able to use the boats during fair time.
If we do get that rain, will we be inundated with the lesser prairie chicken?
Oh, might go east, we don't know. Now you, my question, okay. Any other questions? Yes, Representative Gardner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been involved with the Kansas Horse Council for some time, and I'm on the board there. And, you know, they've had a major regional event, you know, that was at the Expo Center in Wichita, their Equifest, which 25 years ago was huge. And then it moved to Topeka until that didn't work so good here, and now it's in Salina. With your upgrades and so forth, what is the procedure for bringing those kinds of events to the state fairgrounds? How is that negotiated, and what are the number of arenas that would be available and stall numbers for an event like that?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for that question. That is something that, as I opened up with the equestrian group that wants to come in, that is some questions that they're asking as well. We are, with the racetrack potentially going away, we're thinking we're going to need to build a new equestrian area that would go in the southeast corner of the grandstand area, which could potentially have stalling, and it could also have up to 2 arenas in it. Right now, we're just starting the architect stuff, information, and then bringing it to the board as part of a master plan. Our goal would be to see where these horse shows, if they're even wanting to come back. I believe Quarters and Paint's actually going to Oklahoma to have their shows, the Kansas-based shows, because we don't have the facilities for it. So our goal is to start upgrading our facilities even more. We just reached out to all of the equestrian groups today to have them come in. As you saw with the inside of the arena in Expo Center, traditionally, in talking to one of the equine people last week, he said, the way you want to put just 2 feet of concrete and then put a rail on top of it, that's not what we want, because you could spook a show horse really fast by somebody jumping up on the rail. So we're actually bringing in all the equine people that we work with currently and having them do that last phase of design of the arena, and then also working on footing. It's going to take a little bit of time to see where we can fundraise and bring these numbers back up. But like I said, even with this one horse group, we could potentially need 1,500 stalls, and I think that would get even more of these equine people back. And the other thing is hotels. Our hotel situation in Hutchinson is less than adequate.
Thank you very much.
All right. It's not necessarily in your bailiwick, but just kind of talk about, you talked about fundraising, and over the last few years, there's now a foundation.
Correct.
And so just kind of, if you can, talk about that separation, what the State Fair Foundation does, their role compared to what State Fair Board and in your role.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for that question. So yes, we do have 2 separate organizations. In March of 21, the foundation hired James Fisher to come on board as the foundation executive director. They have a totally separate board. Our executive committee, our president, vice president, and treasurer sit on that board, but they have a totally separate board. Their whole mission is to raise funds for the Kansas State Fair. In the bylaws, it states that only funds can be raised. You can't give it to other specialty groups or things like that. So they are raising funds. They do that through, I would hope that a lot of you have had the opportunity to go to Boots and Bling. That is one of our largest fundraising efforts, happens every August. And this last year, we had over 600 people in attendance. We're actually moving it to a bigger building this next year. The monies that are generated from that are phenomenal, and it goes to help offset events on the grounds and not events, but buildings. We've also started a new project this last year. We went up to the Iowa State Fair and met with their Blue Ribbon Foundation people. And in the fair industry, the best compliment you can do is steal somebody's idea. We call it rip off and redesign. So we went up there and we met with their foundation, and they have a program called TAG, Together Achieving Greatness. We brought that back to the Kansas State Fair, and what we're going to be doing is we have sent out letters, and our board and the foundation board are working together to raise money each year for a specific project. This year our project is the Fountain House. If you go to the interactive fountain, that building right to the side of it where merchandise is sold, we're looking at rebuilding that and turning it into a merchandise facility, and then off-season it will be used for rentals for a wedding or just any type of thing going on there. So we have a very good working relationship between the two boards. Just this last month, in January, we got together as the two boards. We did some planning. We did a whole color analysis of who we are and how we need to work together. And then we will be coming up here in March to present each of you a gift from the Kansas State Fair to remind you of the date.
Okay. Last call for questions. Seeing none. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all your time. Appreciate it. Thank you all for all your support as well.
Very good. So it's Kansas State Fair, and you haven't. Would you before the budget committee, is that next week or?
Mr. Chairman, it's the 20th.
The 20th. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to take their thunder with any requests you have, so we'll pay attention to those later. Okay. That is what we have for today. So a reminder, next week should be busy. I would suggest probably Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, bring your computers. Then that way you can play along, and look at the bills as we go. As you review those, if you have some time over the weekend, like tomorrow at this time when we're not meeting, if you have possible changes, amendments to any of these bills, get working with them with Kyle, and might just let me know too to what to expect so we can make sure that we don't miss anything. So anything else for the good of the cause? Seeing not, we will adjourn till Monday, February 13th, where we'll talk with Chip Redmond, the Kansas Mesonet, and lots of questions about Kansas weather. And we could probably even talk prairie chickens if you'd like. Lesser, greater, in between, whatever. And then also a couple of small bills dealing with some water situations. So with that, we are adjourned.